Hello everyone and welcome to a video on trig identities. So we're going to be trying to prove a hypothesis in this video. Now, a hypothesis is one way of making a conjecture of something that you think might be true. So in math we can make these conjectures and then we can try to show that they're true by using facts that you already know are true. So I'm going to take you through a couple of examples here. The first set, or the first one, is going to be an example of something that you already know is true. So we're going to look at a hypothesis here that says that the sum of the angles in a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. So I've made this statement into a math statement here. So you can see right here, I've got a quadrilateral that I've drawn. See it here. And I've just made the statement that angle A, B, C, and D is equal to 360 degrees. Now, the way that we're going to show that this is true is we're going to split the equation into two sides, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And through doing that, I'm going to be able to take one side and change it into obviously the other side. So something that is clearly the same as the other side instead of just a suggestion that it might be true. So in order to do this, we're going to start on the left-hand side. And the reason I made that choice is because it's more complicated than the right-hand side. So if I wanted to take the right-hand side to the left-hand side, then I'd be taking something simple and complicating it. Where in math, we usually take something complicated and we simplify it. So when I look at A plus B plus C plus D here, I can go back over to this quadrilateral and I can realize that I can split it along that blue line. And by splitting it along the blue line, I'm able to use some facts that I already know. So the specific fact we're going to use is the fact that the sum of the interior angles in a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. And you can see we'll get the same thing on this side. So really what we have now is we can change this idea of A plus B plus C plus D into 2 times 180 degrees. Okay, then we multiply those together, we get 360 degrees. And now we have a situation where the left-hand side is 360 and the right-hand side is also 360. And these are clearly the same thing because they are identical to one another. So now we can make a statement that basically says that we've done the job that we wanted, which was prove that the hypothesis is true. So we just write down a statement, left-hand side is equal to right-hand side. And then we want to write, therefore, we have shown that our hypothesis is in fact true. That's a long-winded way of saying something. So mathematicians use a short form for that. We call it QED. And it's the Latin for therefore it's been shown. A little short form for that, okay? I had a little signature here. That's just flair. Let's write that. That's flair. Okay, you can add your own flair. Okay, now how can we use this for proving something a little bit more complicated? So on the next page here, I've made another hypothesis. Okay. Now, if it ends up being true, then we call that an identity. And since this one involves tangent, this is a very specific identity that will become a true fact that you can use in other proofs. We call this the tangent identity. So we have our hypothesis that tan theta, this here, is equal to sine theta over cos theta. You can see I've already split that into the left and the right, and you must do this to have proper form. Now I'm going to start on the more complicated side, which in this case is the right-hand side now. And I'm going to go back to first principles to do this. And I'm just going to look and see things that we already know are true. So I'm going to use the definition for sine. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, we have two fractions that are being divided, so we can flip and multiply. So that'll bring us to opposite over hypotenuse times hypotenuse over adjacent. Okay, now when we have that, we can do now, I'll just use some red here to show you the cancellation. So we can cancel out the hypotenuse. As long as the hypotenuse is not 0, we can do that cancellation. Now we know that the hypotenuse is not 0 because then we don't have a triangle and none of this made any sense to begin with then. So if we just switch back over to black here, Now we can simplify this to opposite over adjacent. Okay, now opposite over adjacent is just the tangent of a reference angle theta. So now you can see the right-hand side is the same as the left-hand side. So let's make that statement. The right-hand side is equal to the left-hand side. And so we're done. So we just write that statement that we're done. Quintus est demonstratus, and we are done. Okay, so this becomes now a fact because we've proven it that we can use in proofs in the future. So sometimes you're going to see a tangent in a proof, and the other side will have only sines and cosines in it. And so to make your life easier, you might as well just switch tangent into sine theta over cos theta. It'll help you prove that the identity is true. Okay, so we go over here. Here's another one that's going to be one that you're going to use over and over again. It's called the Pythagorean identity. And so we have to prove it before we use it. So in this case, I've made this a hypothesis that the square of a sine of an angle plus the square of a cosine of an angle is equal to 1. So once again, the way I'm going to prove this is I'm going to go to first principles. Now you can see I accidentally put an x here. Let's change that to a theta to keep it clear. And what we're going to do then is we're just going to again switch this to opposite over hypotenuse. So we've got opposite divided by hypotenuse. And we're going to square that. We're going to add that to adjacent over hypotenuse. And we're going to square that. And so now you'll see we have a common denominator. So I'm just going to write this as opposite squared plus adjacent squared over hypotenuse squared. Okay, now you might be wondering how that is going to turn into a 1. Well, the opposite and the adjacent, well, they're two legs in a right triangle. So you can see here, if we draw a right triangle, the adjacent's like A, and the opposite's like O, if this is our reference angle here. And that'll be the hypotenuse. So you can see that the opposite squared plus the adjacent squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So this whole opposite squared plus adjacent squared thing can be replaced with the hypotenuse squared. So I get the hypotenuse squared over the hypotenuse squared. And once again, we'll do a little cancellation, and we get 1. Now 1 is clearly the same as 1. So that we've now shown that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. And we just make our statement here. Quintus est demonstratus. Okay, and that is a complete proof with great form. So if you follow that example and you try to keep your left-hand side and your right-hand side separate, and you take one side completely to the other, then you're going to do really well with trig proofs. Well, let's hop over to one that's a little bit more complicated. So now it's a little bit more difficult in this example of sine squared theta, or sine squared x in this case, divided by cos squared x equals secant x minus cos x. It's difficult here to decide which is the complicated side. And so, I mean, we could do it either way. And they can always be done either way. But in some cases, it makes it much more difficult to go one way or the other. So I'm going to start on the right-hand side. Now, you might disagree and do the left-hand side. And that's actually an interesting exercise to do. If you want to do that, you'd have to use the Pythagorean identity. So I'll give you that little hint, and you can try that on your own. So this one I like because it allows me to show you that if you see a secant or a cotangent or a cosecant or even a tangent, it's really helpful to change it into sines and cosines. So if you look at this secant here, secant x is equal to the flip, okay, of cosine. So that means if we flip cosine, it's the same as writing it as 1 over that. So I can replace secant with 1 over cosine x. And that's equal to minus cos. Sorry, it's 1 over cos x minus cos x. And now this allows me also to show you that I have sort of two fractions here. And the way that you combine two fractions is you find a common denominator. So the common denominator I want here is cosine. Okay, so I'm going to get a cosine on the bottom for the right one as well. So I'm going to multiply it by cosine. Over cosine. Okay, and now I have a common denominator. So I'm going to end up with 1 over cosine cos x minus cos squared x over cos x. And this will end up being 1 minus cos squared x over cos x. Now, I just realized I think I made a mistake when I wrote this down, and I don't want to go back and restart this video. So I'm just going to fix my mistake now. I think when I wrote this down, the denominator on the left-hand side should have been just cos x. Okay, and you can, with enough experience, if you write something down wrong, you probably are going to be able to catch the mistakes. I'm just going to get rid of that 2 in both of these. Okay, and we're going to pretend like that was the question that we were trying to solve from the beginning. Okay, now when I go back to the right-hand side here, 1 minus cos squared x. Now, I'm going to peek over at this one. Okay, oftentimes it's helpful to peek at the other side. So I'm peeking over here, and I see that I want a sine squared x on this side. Well, I have that Pythagorean identity I used. That's how cos squared x and sine squared x are related. So I know that sine squared x plus cos squared x is equal to 1. So now, if I want to get a sine squared x by itself, let's see what sine squared x is equal to. It's equal to 1 minus cos squared x. So by the Pythagorean identity, I can replace 1 minus cos squared x here with sine squared x, since they're equal. And there you go. Now we have the thing that I should have written down to begin with, which is sine squared x divided by cos x. So now that I've shown that, I just make my statement. Left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. And QED. Add your little flare at the end. Drop your pencil. Okay, now that looks intimidating. Okay, now I'm going to break my own rule. Sometimes you have to use a little intuition here. So on the right-hand side, I've got cotangent. And I said that you might want to start there and change it into sines and cosines because it'll allow you to just work with sines and cosines. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use that tip I gave you in the last one. And I'm just going to peek at this one again. So you're going to peek at it and look for what it's equal to. Well, cotangent is the same as 1 over tan x. And by the tangent identity that we found before, that's equal to 1 over sine x over cos x. And since we're dividing fractions, you flip. So this is going to be cos x over sine x. So now if I can get the left-hand side to be equal to cos x over sine x, I can work my way all the way back up to make it equal to cotangent x. So when I look at my left-hand side then, and I think about how I want that to happen, I see that there's already a sine x on the denominator, just like there's over here. So I just need to make the top equal to cosine. Well, there's already a cosine there, right? So that's helpful. So what I'm going to do is something that a lot of people won't like, is that I'm going to factor. And factoring is one of the big things that is helpful when you're doing a trig identity. So I know a lot of you don't feel comfortable with factoring, but it's just something you can't escape. Sometimes you have to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cos x out of this expression. I'm going to end up with sine squared x plus cos squared x all over sine x. Now, if you don't trust me, you can back this up. Make sure that I can get back to that by multiplying this back in. Okay, so now the thing is, by Pythagorean identity, this thing in the brackets, sine squared x and cos squared x, well, that's just equal to 1. So I'm going to end up with cos x times 1 over sine x, which is equal to, this is just cos x over sine x. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and, this is the flip of tangent, which we know is cotangent x. So I'm going to jump. This is a big jump, though. Okay, that's equal to cotangent x. Okay, and I feel comfortable doing that. So if I feel comfortable doing that, then we should have this be an identity that we know too. That cotangent is equal to cos x over sine x. Okay, so this is something you can use because it's not that big a leap. Okay, so now when we look at it, we've clearly shown that the left-hand side is cotan x and the right-hand side is cotan x. So that means that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, QED. Okay, now there's a lot more snags that come into a variety of different proofs. I've given you, I think, a good place to start. So hopefully you can approach a few of the questions. Feel free to send me some of your problems, and we'll try them out another time. Just before we wrap up, I just want to show you a few tips. Some of the things that happened in these proofs, you can add to this list. I recommend you write this down somewhere, and you can add to this list as you figure out some things that could potentially help you solve other trig proofs. So one thing we did was we peeked at the other side. When we saw our cotangent, we needed to change that to sines and cosines. We did the same with secant. The same thing could pop up with cosecant. And even tangent, we could use the tangent identity as well. Start with the complicated side and simplify. Don't start with the simplified side and complicate it. That would make it harder. Factoring can help. Using a common denominator to combine fractions can also help. So a lot of basic math skills are going to come into play here. So it'll help you refine some of that, maybe make you a little better at that too. Okay, good luck with this.